Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm James and this is Clearwater Fishing, and today we're talking about the Humminbird Apex, Humminbird's brand new top of the line unit versus their previous top of the line unit, the Humminbird SOLIX. The Humminbird SOLIX has been around since 2017, I think, somewhere in there. I think that was the first generation. And the Apex is brand new. Hey guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do all kinds of fishing videos, anywhere from fish talks like this to how to catch your very first bass to even how to tie certain knots. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, make sure you like it. So I did a little bit of research on the definitions of Apex and SOLIX, where SOLIX means a clever mind capable of grasping and assimilating new ideas, where Apex is simply the pinnacle or the very top of an object. I just wanted to throw that in there just because I thought it was a little bit of fun. So we're going to jump right into this, and we're going to do kind of a side-by-side comparison here. I'll put some text up here so we can compare some certain things from the Apex to the SOLIX. But first, let's talk about screen sizes and screen availability. The Apex comes in 3 screen sizes, 13, 16, and 19, where the SOLIX also comes in 3 sizes, 10, 12, and 15. That being said, you have a 12 and a 13 and a 15 and a 16 that are kind of comparable, but the two that stand on the outskirts here is the SOLIX's 10-inch and obviously the Apex's massive 19-inch screen TV that you're going to have on the front of your boat. Now let's talk about the screen resolutions between the Apex and the SOLIX. The Apex is considered a full HD system with 1920 by 1080, and the SOLIX is considered just a standard HD at 1280 by 800 pixels. So what does that really mean to us? Well, as you get to the bigger and larger screens, you really want more pixels available to display details. So the full HD is probably really needed when you get to that 19-inch level, but it's really probably not as needed when you're at the 13-inch level. And in the same way on the SOLIX, the 10 and the 12-inch models are probably just fine. And when you start reaching up to the 15 with the smaller screen resolution, you probably get a lot more pixelated images if the data is not there to support it. But overall, I'm sure Humminbird did a great job on both of these units, and you probably won't have any issues with any pixelation of your down imaging, side imaging, or sonar, any of that kind of thing. Okay guys, so hold on to your wallets here because we're about to talk about the price. The Apex, the 13-inch, starts off at $3,700 without the transducer, so still gonna have to fork out some money for the transducer there. The 16-inch is $4,200 and the 19-inch is $4,700. Whew, that's a lot of money for a fish finder. But considering the size screens you're getting, if you get a big old 19-inch screen, you probably don't need a second fish finder up there at the console. So you're probably okay. And probably the same way at the bow of the boat, if you have a big screen up there, you probably don't need multiple units up there as well. Jumping on over to the SOLIX, the 10-inch starts off at $2,200 without a transducer. And that, just compared to the Apex, just seems a little more reasonable to me. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but 10-inch SOLIX just kind of makes sense there. And the 12-inch is going to be $2,700, and then the 15-inch is going to be $3,200. All of those are without transducers, so we can have a side-by-side comparison here of kind of where the prices are. And you noticed on comparable sizes here, you really just add $1,000 to the Apex and you get the kind of the same size unit and maybe some more features when we talk about them. We're going to rapid fire through the next few items here. They're important, but they really don't have a whole lot to talk about them. So the first thing is all units on both sides support Mega SI Plus. So that means you get Mega DI Plus as well in there, and all the chirp functions and all that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Ethernet ports. You get 2 with the Apex with 1 on the Solix. The advantage maybe on the Apex is that you won't need a switch box maybe for the Ethernet connections to communicate unit to unit. I don't see that as a huge advantage, but some people may. I don't really see it that way because the switch boxes from Humminbird really don't cost that much, and then you can multiply your number of units together. So if you want to have 2 units at the console, 2 units at the bow, and still connect to your Minn Kota trolling motor, you still can do that, all with a 5-way switch box. Both units have 2 SD card slots, micro SD card slots to be exact, so you can input your Lake Master cards and even some data cards if you just want to download or record some data off your fish finder. Both units support Wi-Fi and both units come with a 2-year warranty. As far as processing power, I really couldn't find a whole lot of information about the chip that goes in the Apex or the Solix. All I could really find is that it's a dual-core processor on both units. I do expect the processing power to be a little bit higher on the Apex than the Solix because it does have to power and put up that higher resolution screen. So I expect it to have a little more power, but really not that much more. The next thing I thought was kind of interesting is that the Apex comes with 2 HDMI ports. One is an input and one is an output. I don't know the exact values in that. As an output, you can share, I guess, in your garage if you had a buddy there. You can plug it into a TV and you both could be looking at a map together and studying the map or something. As an input, I don't know how much value you have there unless you were trying to stream from your phone to the Apex unit. I'm still not sure where the value lies with both of those, but it's pretty interesting that it has both an output and an input on the Apex. And by the way, the Solix doesn't have any of that. Maybe you guys have a few ideas on how to use the HDMI ports. Let me know in the comments below. So something else pretty interesting, I'm going to throw up an image of both of the units right here, especially at their little control panels that they have. They're both pretty much exactly the same. They're just a little different color schemes there. One's yellow and the other one's white. Essentially it has all the same buttons and all the same knobs and even the joystick. Both of these units support touchscreen, so if you want to touch your screen instead of using the joystick, perfectly capable of doing that. But if you don't want to touch it, you have that fancy joystick. So another thing that the Apex has over the Solix is that it has 2 transducer ports. I don't know exactly the value there. You can hook up multiple transducers. That's kind of cool. Might be kind of cool because you're not going to be able to afford a second unit, so you may want multiple transducers to the same unit. Also, so you guys know, from what I could tell by reading, those of you who want Mega 360, you're still going to need the Y cable. So we just talked about a whole bunch of features. Some of them are the same, some of them are different. Let me kind of summarize the different ones. The first thing is the screen sizes are going to be in different ranges. The Apex is obviously going to have larger screen sizes, and the Solix is still going to have some of the shared screen sizes, but one step down as well. Also, when we're talking about screen sizes, resolution is different. You got 1280 by 800 on the Solix. Then you got 1920 by 1080 on the Apex. The Ethernet ports are different. You have 2 Ethernet ports on the Apex, probably because you're not going to be able to afford a second unit. Sorry, that's just funny to me. When I was looking at the units themselves, I noticed that the power draw was quite a bit different. Obviously, the Apex units are going to have more power draw than the Solix units. I didn't document how much, but it is going to be a little more power. So you may want to take that in consideration when you're buying these to have the battery support for them. The HDMI ports, I saw that as a major difference, but I don't know if it's a huge value yet. Maybe you guys have some ideas. I think I asked you guys to leave me a comment. But it's interesting to have an HDMI port on the Apex, and the value is yet to be seen. And obviously, the price is going to be a huge difference. Obviously, $1,000 more for a comparable size. But is it actually worth it? I don't think so unless you're looking for that extra size up, that 19-inch screen. I don't see it being too much worth it, especially for the freshwater guys, bass fishing guys. Maybe if you're a Great Lake guy or a saltwater guy, the larger units will be worth it to have your map up and have some sonar going on at the same time, all on the same unit, and you have one spot. But overall, I don't see the features of the Apex being that much greater than the Solix to justify me or you going out to buy an Apex. I think the money is still better spent on Solixes if that's what you want to do, or even the Helixes. But the Apex, I'm not seeing the extra value there for the money you're going to be spending. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments below whether or not you think the Apex is worth the extra $1,000, whichever size you want, or if you think you're going to stick with a Solix or a Helix as well. I really don't feel like it's worth it, but some of you guys may feel differently. And if I missed any features that you guys feel are key in the differences, hey, also let me know and share it out there with the rest of us. But I want you guys to remember, just like always, get out there and go catch you some fish.